welcome back to another video. This is Garv from Techfit. Today we're going to talk about something really interesting, which is how to become data analyst. In this video, we're going to talk about a couple of things, which is like, who is data analyst? What do you be getting if you're a data analyst? What skills you need to have? And what's the academic background? Now first, who is data analyst? According to me, data analyst is someone who can actually translate different graphs, different models, scores, numbers, statistical analysis into a simple English format, which then business can actually use to understand and make some decisions. Data analyst is part of analytics team. Again, in analytics, you would have different titles like data analyst, business intelligence, data architect, data engineer, and obviously data scientist. So data analysts are more like people who are thinkers and the doers. So their role is basically to help and build different analytical models to help business to make decisions, which is also could be called as data-driven decision making. It's basically converting different types of analysis and the numbers into a simple English format so business can take some value out of those analysis. One of the key part for being data analyst would be a good team player. Again, you will be playing a major part with your team itself, so you'll be correlating with different analysis, such as if you have a scenario where you have to do sort of like build a new dashboard. Again, you'll be talking to your other members of the team like data architect, data engineer to bring the feeds, talk to the business intelligence guys to actually build the exact visualizations that might be useful for the business, and working and coordinating with all the aspects of it. And finally, publishing the report to the business itself so they can get some value out of those reports. Now again, the types of tasks you would be doing as a data analyst: producing reports, spotting different patterns, collaborating with others, data processing, data engineering, building models, communicating to the business. Hence why communication becomes one of the critical factor in this job. I do have another video which I'll leave the link on the description below, where again I'm talking about 5 things I knew before I started programming. And again, in that video I do talk about how can you practice your communication skills and how can you make them better. Again, one of the quick tip would be to interact with different people, go to different meetups to actually talk about stuff in this field, and especially when you're working on a specific analysis or a specific model, to have your vision clear that what you're trying to achieve out of this. Again, you can go in really detail and build something really complex and really good that you think it's brilliant, but again, it doesn't really solve the business problem that business is looking for. Again, in the data analyst field, what you would be doing majority of time, if I want to kind of like split your time into the percentage, so you would be working, say for an example, 30% of the time actually creating reports, 30% of the time you would be working on different types of models, and in those models you'll be doing data processing the majority of the time, building the specific algorithm that you want to use to predict, and finally the rest you'll be spending the time to actually talk to the stakeholders, collaborating with them to basically applying all this knowledge that you have acquired while doing this analysis, actually using that into explaining the business into a simple English so they understand what you're trying to achieve out of this problem, and then business can actually use that information and take some realistic decisions. Now again, you have to always remember business itself is a domain expert, and they can come back and they can actually give you some guidance in terms of what they're looking for and what can you also achieve. Now you can take that input and you can definitely, if you're working on some specific problem, specific analysis or a model, once you talk to your stakeholders, a lot of the things could change when you talk to them, or you could find new features that you didn't even thought about. So it's definitely good in terms of communication. A lot of people in this area who don't have that skill set or don't have that communication, they do struggle. So okay, second thing we're going to talk about is the salary. The sources I'm using is obviously Glassdoor, PayScale, and again I'm also using the sources like my own understanding of this industry, especially being in this industry, and also the different type of job requests that I get for the interview, what type of salary scale they are looking for. If you're working in Dublin, Ireland, you would be looking at somewhere around 30k to 45k. Now again, this is dependent on 1 to 4 years of experience, and again it depends on what skill set you have. Maybe you could be on a higher scale, less years of experience. If you have some specific skill set that company is looking for that specific part of the role. Similarly, if you're working in UK, it will be somewhere around 30k to 40k. Now, if you're working in Dublin, Ireland, and you have experience for around 4 to 6 years, you'd be looking at somewhere around from 50k to 65k on the higher band. Similarly, anything above that could again bring you up to 75k, but again, it all depends on your skill set, and sometimes companies do pay more if they're looking for a specific skill set that they have mentioned in the job description. Alright, so third, we're going to talk about skills. A lot of the times when you're extracting the data, it's really good to know SQL. Again, SQL, it's the kind of niche in the majority of the companies. Now, even if you're good at Python, you're good at R, a lot of the times you can actually integrate your SQL code within the script and run through Python or R. But again, it's always good to have basic knowledge of SQL and how to extract data from the database. Again, some other tools which will be really useful here would be R. Again, if you're using for some statistical analysis or you're building some model. The second good skill would be to have is Python. Again, with Python, you can have Python Django, Flask for web framework, and Python Airflow to actually build some sort of easy ETL for basically migrating data from one part or one database to the next database. It's also good to have knowledge of different BI tools like Tableau, Power BI, Oracle BI. Again, if you're good at stats, good at maths and numbers, it will definitely play in your favor. I think if only I have to give you one tip, I would definitely recommend you to spend a lot of time on real life examples. If you are trying to build some analysis or trying to build some models, definitely spend a lot of time in terms of getting some sort of domain expertise. And also when you're looking at specific problem, try to actually vision your problem. What are you trying to achieve out of this, and what the end goal should be. Especially when you're working as a data analyst, you would be building a lot of models, and where you're building these models, you'll be doing a lot of data processing. So get used to using these different tools. It's really good to have different skill set in terms of you could either use Plotly Dash to build your dashboard, you could use Tableau, you could use R-Shiny, or you could just build something in Excel. But it's always good to have the basic niche clear. What are you trying to achieve out of that visualization, and what are you trying to communicate? At the end of the day, if you know how to turn these analysis into a simple English so business can understand and can actually take some relevant actions on these analysis, that's what you are after. Again, in practical skills, I would call it out as offer your opinion, drive different projects with minimum guidance, problem solving skills, and quality check your work, and clear communication of results. And finally, in soft skills, you should have good communication skills, clear explanation of your complex ideas, good listening skills, you're good at planning, organizing, you're adaptable, and more important, you are a team player. Okay, so I want to give you one example on the type of work that you would be performing as a data analyst. You have to build a dashboard on a specific problem. Now that problem could be increasing churn. So especially you would be looking at the feeds. Again, the first thing is where it's the data. Data could be located in different databases. So you should always be good at extracting data, data processing, and data visualization. So once you know where to extract the data from, you're good at extraction tools such as SQL. You can use your personal tool, or you can use some BI tool that already exists in the company. Now you could go with something like R, Python, or you can go with something like Oracle BI or Tableau or Power BI. Then it's more about your visualization skills. How can you actually present something in a format that can be actually understandable by the business, on which they can actually make decisions. So this would be an example of reporting. Now similarly, you could have another task which is on building a model. Now, model could take a lot of work and time consuming, so you should always be able to do multitasking. Now, you could be building reports, but you can also come back in terms of building your model. Especially in the model, first of all, I would definitely advise you to be the domain expert. Understand the domain first. Once you know the domain, then don't really focus on writing the perfect code. First, worry about the problem. Try to solve the problem, use different algorithms, use different modeling techniques, and build the model that can actually predict. Once you have tested your accuracy and then your models are performing good, I would recommend you to show these results to the stakeholders and get their inputs before productionizing the model. Now, you don't want to get into a space where you're productionizing everything, and once you talk to the business who are domain expert, they give you some example or options or select new features, and you have to go back and reverse engineer everything. So I would definitely recommend, once you are happy with everything you have discussed with the business. You have taken their input and you have reapplied that onto your model. And once everything is smooth, then start the production approach, where you can then worry about writing a clean code, optimize your code as much as possible. Finally, we're going to talk about academic background. For academic background, you can come from different areas. Now, you could be good at maths, good with numbers, you have done some statistical course, or you could have done some computer science course or a data analytics course. So these are the different academic backgrounds that you can come into the analytics. Again, you could be good at computer science and you can do some course to understand more on the stats and math skills, and you can apply that into analytics. Or you could come from stats and you can learn more about computer science, where you're learning different tools and you can come from that. Even for learning and cross-skilling yourself into different tools, I would definitely recommend you to actually do a hands-on practice on those tools. Say for an example, if you're coming from really good maths and statistical background, now you want to learn some specific tool, you could select maybe using R. Now, rather than buying a course online on Coursera or Udemy or something like that, you can actually start free. Start using the tool, read some tutorials on the tool, watch some free videos, and actually start getting some hands-on practice on real-life data. Now, you might not be working in a company or you might be still in college, but you can definitely depend on sites like Kaggle, where you can download real life data and do some sort of data processing techniques or build different visualization. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. That definitely helps me in terms of growing the channel. You can also click on that bell sign, which will actually notify you once I upload some new video. Thanks for watching this video. Peace out.